Hey, this is Andrew at TechRaptor. I'm here with Frank and Steven, right? From Taleworlds Entertainment. We're here to talk about Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord.
Okay.
What was the biggest thing you're most excited for, like, returning players to see?
In
Like,
Siege?
yeah, or just in general, whichever.
Well, I mean, talking about Siege specifically, that's one of the areas where players really have requested like most improvement. Because like we had in our previous games, like Mountain Blade Warband, we had like very kind of linear, very basic sieges, so just like a single ladder or like a single siege tower. Now players can actually control their approach, so they can like look at the castle and say, okay, I can spot a weakness there. I'm going to try and push the siege tower up, and use my like mangonels to maybe like destroy their defending siege weapons, open up some of the battlements, and like get some shots off on their archers. They can really actually tailor their approach depending on their enemy, depending on that castle structure itself as well. So it's a much more involved experience for siege. I think players are going to respond really well to that. But in general, in Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, we've really just tried to deliver like, more of the same gameplay, but just expand it, make it deeper, and kind of make the whole experience much smoother, and kind of give the player more information, and kind of involve them more in the process of the sandbox of the game.
Yeah. One thing I noticed when watching that, the AI seemed like a lot better, a lot cooler. That was doing stuff like
Right.
making like a lot cooler decisions before. Like even it was helping you with your siege stuff, and like even the defenders, you actually saw them run into the keep, unlike Mount Blade
Exactly.
1, where it's another part of the battle. So how's that improved?
We made massive strides forward with the AI. I mean, we have a whole new game engine, and the game's just been written completely from scratch for the second game. So really, because we're having this kind of more like a sprawling battle right now with multiple entry points, we need an AI that can actually deal with that, act intelligently, reinforce choke points, kind of cover breaches, and really sort of feel like you're playing against an intelligent like, commander when you're actually playing the game. So you'll see, like, as we kind of put the siege tower in place, you guys run out of the gatehouse to actually kind of support that point and kind of close off the breach in the castle. We also have like our actual age, like our like troop AI as well. So the individual soldiers, they're always acting intelligently, right? So if there's a mangonel, they're going to fire it, or like sort of independently. If you don't need to give them the command to do all that kind of stuff, they're just going to kind of act and do smart things most of the time as well.
So in terms of commands, are there going to be? I'm assuming all the stuff we're already familiar with there. Is there going to be like specific things that's new that we can tell certain groups to do, or for troops and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. I mean, the commanding, we haven't like revealed too much of that yet. Just kind of a taste of what we have in store. But I can tell you some of the new features, which is like you can actually split up our formations now. So instead of just having like archers, infantry, cavalry, you can actually split those formations up into smaller groups and kind of send, okay, I want like half my archers to go here, half of them to go there, and a quarter to maybe go and support the battering ram or whatever. You can just choose and tailor your own tactics towards that. So we also have new commands to actually control the specific siege weapons individually as well. So you can say, all right, you're gonna wait with the siege tower while we push forward the battering ram. Now I want you to push it forward. Now raise the ladders, and now kind of attack all in unison. Or you can maybe just try one side first. You can actually control that completely as the player if you like.
Okay. All right. So what kind of scale are we talking in comparison to what they could do before with the game
With the
of
previous
the battle?
games?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So like. Technically, our limit in Warband was 150. Modders raised that up because we actually let them do that as well. But like we're natively supporting now. I mean, the battle that we're showing is like 500 troops, like 350 attackers, 150 defenders.
Yeah.
We want to push it like even higher in the final game. We can't give you an exact number right now, but like we can go quite a lot higher than that. We think as well.
So Bannerlord takes place in the same world as the previous Mountain Blade games, but it's in the past, is my understanding. So are we seeing a lot of the same factions? Are there more, or?
What you see is are precursors to a lot of the factions that exist in Warband. There's not a one-to-one correspondence, just like in history, a lot of kingdoms were confederations of different tribes or groups that had existed earlier. But we have a we have the same, a few new. We have a Celtic faction with some very unique looks there. We have a faction based on the Byzantine Empire, and then we have sort of more Dark Age versions of the factions you see in Warband. There are more equipment now. There's a wider variety of it. Some of it is customizable and craftable. Armor is now composed of multiple parts. So you have cuirasses, things you can put on your shoulders, vambraces, a whole range of things, so you can customize your character much more than you could in Warband. As in Warband, pretty much all the equipment is based off a historical prototype that occurs somewhere in the artistic or archaeological world. So, there's no super weapon or super armor. Everything is balanced in a particular way, and should function more or less as the historical counterpart did. So yeah, there should be a much wider variety there.
That's very cool. So interacting with the individual lords, how has that been like expanded on? Because I asked someone yesterday, it seemed that there's they'll have some kind of memory of you, and he gave me an example of let's say you went to a war with another faction, but you had a lord that you're really friendly with. He might just choose not to attack you, or he might even help you out. Is that stuff that's going to be going on?
That's still there, yeah. I mean, you still have you can still have friends among your enemies. You can still ask them for certain favors. Whether they grant them to you is sort of up to them. They're also bound by their relations with the king of the faction. The relationships between individual lords are to the large extent tracked. So, any decision that a lord makes will have many factors influencing it. Their personalities, which are significantly more developed than in Warband, their relations within their faction, and then finally their relation with you, and then circumstances, of course. So when you and one of these sort of interesting elements that should add is there will be a certain amount of emerging gameplay. That if you fight a siege battle, the ripples in another faction, could be considerable, and you could be hearing about that battle along in the future.
One thing that was briefly mentioned to me yesterday was the bartering system. Could you go into a little bit of how that's going to work?
Yeah, there's you can offer to lords to swap various things that for the most part could be historically swapped. The very basic level, starting with weapons and gold and such, up to perhaps if it makes sense in the context of the game, even land. So the bartering system is quite flexible. We were using it not just, I think, for lords, but also for other characters as well. There should be a wider range of most of the interactions you can do with lords in Warband. You should be able to do with a lot of the other types of NPCs. So you'll see, a lot of the same concepts, but developed, expanded, and made more flexible.
Are there going to be some kind of way to track how other lords view you, or like your relationships with them? Is that going to be an easy to find kind of thing?
There's your basic relationship with them, and then lords, as in Warband, will have families. So you'll also we also have a mechanic called influence, which will. It's not just their relationship to you, which is a measure of trust. Influence also is what would be called political capital or moral capital. If you fight hard for a lord, you can ask him for more stuff. In Warband, that was there, but now you should be able to see it much more and keep track of it much more easily. Use it in your plans, and you can do more things with it.
Okay. All right, is there anything else you want to add about the factions and how people are going to be interacting with the other NPCs, or?
I think that covers most of it.
Okay.
Again, it should be much more. All the concepts that are in Warband are there, but most of them will be made more flexible, more visualizable, and deeper.
Yeah. So is it going to function kind of similarly, where you may have a bigger force, but it's just kind of continually going to be like spawning them in as they get killed off, or is it going to be like your forces on the field at once?
Well, I mean, it depends on the size. I mean, if we have, say, if there's like a whole bunch of lords together with all large parties and it's like 10,000 soldiers, we might not be able to spawn all those in at the same time. But I mean, most of the battles, if you've got a decent enough PC, you're going to be seeing all of those troops on the battlefield and having that full battle experience. There will be a reinforcement system for when it's larger, but this time it's going to be based not on your skills, but just more on actually keeping the proportion the same. So it's going to be like even if the fight is a little bit smaller, it's still going to be that same like balance of forces that you have between the two armies.
Okay. And so you mentioned mods before. How are you guys doing a lot to support them this time? Because I know they were a fairly big part of the community for Mountain Blade.
Massive amounts, yeah. Well, we hope so anyway. Obviously, modding has been a huge part of the games right since the alpha release of the very first game, right? And what modding offers us, what it was always offered us, and we're very grateful for this, is it's just more content for the players, so they get more value for their game, and we get to actually get inspired by the modding community as well. It's like they're kind of pitching their vote because they're creating this kind of game. We see which ones are responding well to by the community, and we can see the kind of things that our players are interested in, just with this modding community kind of interacting with each other and actually giving us some information about our player base. So for the second game, we've made modding like absolutely a core approach. So it's not just like, we're going to add in modding. It's like when we're writing every bit of code, we're kind of writing it in a way that modders can actually access that, change things, and kind of give their own kind of like ideas and put those into the game in a much easier fashion. We're giving all of our tools that we're using to develop the game actually directly to the modders as well.
Oh, okay.
So they can be able to use all our editors, all of our like scene editors, all of the kind of things to actually modify game files. We're handing those right to the players. And the other big point for modding is we're actually adding in multiple mod support. So like if someone makes a mod which adds in a new skill, someone else throws in like some new items, weapons, someone else changes something about diplomacy, players are going to be able to pick those mods, put them together in their game, and actually kind of tailor their own experience based on what the users have created.
So are those tools, you're hoping to have those like ready for mods as the modders whenever you release?
Yeah, I think at release or very soon after, or hopefully maybe a little bit before.
The script files are also in CS as opposed to the game's
right,
own
yeah,
scripting
so
language.
C# now as well, so that's like a more of a generic code language that the modders can be more familiar with from other games if they want to come in and modify our game as well.
So when can they expect to see some of it themselves in person, players?
When can they get their hands on the game?
Yeah.
So we want to shoot for something like maybe like an early access or a kind of closed beta release, like maybe sometime this year if we can get to that. So we want to give the players like a chance to get their hands on the game before it's released, get some feedback and like kind of maybe change some things like as a result of that, or see what their reaction is like.
Gotcha.
But for a full release, probably sometime next year.
Okay. Is there anything else either you want to add to let people know about or say?
Yeah, just stay tuned for more information about Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter. Get involved, send us a message. We love to read about what you think of the game, and just look forward to Gamescom and other events where we're going to be showing more things about the game.
All right. Again, this is Andrew with TechRaptor. I've got Steven and Frank from Taleworlds Entertainment, and that was Bannerlord 2.